Good evening and welcome to Inner Space Manchester's talk this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Himakshi, and the talk tonight is Understanding Karma for a Fuller and Happier Life. Our speaker tonight is Sister Antonella Ferrari, who has been a teacher and student of Raj Yoga after she was taught by Brahmakumaris in 1988 in Japan as well as Italy, where she studied Oriental language and culture. She's one of the founding members of the Brahmakumaris team in Italy, as well as having published 3 books on spirituality. Before I hand over to her, I want to remind everyone that this talk is being live streamed on Facebook, and for that reason, mics and cameras will be off. Any questions that you have during the talk can be sent in the chat box to the host, Inner Space Manchester. I'll hand over to you now, Sister Antonella.
Thank you very much, and I'm so glad to be with you tonight and very happy. So the topic of karma is a big topic. Karma is the universal law of cause and effect, and in fact there is no effect without a cause, as much as there is no cause without effect. And how karma works is actually simple. Mathematic in a way, and yet is very complex because it implies to see and understand a wider picture, a big picture. Like as much as there is a relationship between today's action and tomorrow's reality, there is an equal important relationship between yesterday's action and today's reality. So a bigger picture means knowing those 3 aspects of time, because if I only see a portion of time, which is right now, what happened today, without considering what happened yesterday, the cause of the effect that I'm watching or experiencing today, then I will not be able to understand it. So whatever result I see today in my reality, it's according to the action I performed yesterday. But the response I'm giving today to whatever happened to me will shape my destiny. And I might share a story. It's a story of a girl. She got married, and so she went to live in the house of her parents-in-law. But she was coming from a family of philanthropists, people that were very generous in sharing and giving. But the new family, the parents of her husband, they were the opposite, very miserly. And one day they were having a wonderful lunch with a lot of food on the table. And then the windows was open, and just outside in the street there was a beggar. There was begging for food. He was hungry. So she went to the balcony and looked down to the beggar and said to him, "I'm so sorry, we can't give you anything because we are just eating ourselves the leftover." So she said like that, and the father-in-law was really surprised. Eating the leftover was such a wonderful, meal with abundance. So what was about the leftover? And so she explained to them, today we are eating what we created yesterday. So in a way, it's a leftover of what we did yesterday. But unless today we create new good karma, what are we going to eat tomorrow? And I like this story because it's so easy to understand that every moment is my creation of my destiny, of my future, therefore my well-being, my happiness. And as you know, karma means action, from the word kuru in Urdu, for what I understand. But even more than just being connected with action, karma is very much connected with intention. What intention do I have when I perform any action or I speak any words? Because intention will affect the outcome or the consequences of what I do or what I say or even what I think. For example, two different people can perform the same action, but they could get a different outcome, a different karma, because of the intention behind the action. If the intention, for example, of giving out something is pure generosity or just the feeling of helping, that's a good intention. But it could be that I do the same, exactly the same action, but the intention behind is I want a favor back from you. I've got some selfish motives, hidden agenda. I'm expecting some return. I'm planning some kind of manipulation. So intention will actually change the outcome. And therefore it's very important to check the self and ask the self, what is my intention behind what I'm doing? Is my intention as good as the action appear to be, or is a bit corrupt? The same knife can do different things. A knife can cut an apple, can kill somebody, or in the hand of a surgeon can save a life. Still the same knife. So what use do I do of every resource that I have? And we all have a lot of resources: time, thoughts, idea, money, skills, knowledge, understanding, connection. And yet, how do I use them will make the difference in my future, my fortune, my destiny. And because of the intention that can be different, even though the action might look the same, it's so difficult to judge somebody else's karma, because only I know my intention really deeply. It's not easy to detect it in somebody else. So it's a bit difficult to judge other people's karma. But also a criteria within the law of karma is that when karma is incognito, is in a way is untouched. Some people might give something to, like a donation, and they make sure that everybody see them. So they want to be acknowledged as good people, good donor, etc. So I'm actually nourishing my ego in a way. I want people to know. But when nobody knows and nobody sees what I'm doing, that karmic account credit, of course, is untouched, and therefore is the highest karma when it's incognito. I know, drama, karma knows, God knows. Everybody else, it's not necessary for them to know. And this is why there is a criteria in the Brahma Kumaris, generally, that donation, contribution are incognito. Because the karmic accounts is left untouched, fully there in my credit. Every month since the lockdown, we receive an envelope, very, simple envelope in the mailbox with some money. Every month since the lockdown. We don't know who is putting that, envelope in the mailbox outside. But somebody does it precisely, regularly, every month. And you can imagine the good karma. We don't know who that person is, and we are glad maybe not to know, because the good karma of that person is fully untouched. And another criteria, because karma is not calibrated according to the human scale, like you give one, you receive one. That's the mathematic generally, but is calibrated to, in a way, the sacrifice you do. An example, some people can be very poor and give 1 penny, and some other person can be very wealthy and give £100. They might receive the same return. They might have the same karmic credit, because it's not calibrated to how much you give in terms of, calculation, but it's calibrated to the nobility of my priority. Is a priority for me to share what I have in the maximum extent that I can? Or am I giving away or helping just according to what is left and I don't need it? So I didn't like the word sacrifice earlier, because usually it's connected with something, that you will miss, or something forced. But in fact, sacrifice is a beautiful word. Means to make something sacred. And when we create good karma, we are actually honoring our energy, our belonging, whatever we have, expressing care for people, care for nature, care for whatever. So it doesn't matter if I have little, but if I share a portion of that little, it will improve hundreds of times. And like sharing, caring, giving are key words in the law of karma. And sometimes people are scared to give away something because they might think, I won't have it anymore. But it's good not to have fear, not to have enough. Because as much as I give from the heart, as much as I share as much as I can, then the universe will provide. It's called fortune. Why some people are fortunate and some people are not. It's not by chance. It doesn't exist by chance. It's just the ability, the art, the power of sowing good seeds. So it's called fortune, it's called karma, it's called destiny, but it's what I create myself. And so I think it's so comfortable and so deeply peaceful to share as much as I can, knowing that the universe will take care of me. I think it's the best way to live. And personally, I have many examples that I witness and that I experience myself. Because of course, it's good to take care of our own body, because when we misuse the body, we mistreat the body, that's also a karmic account. So to take a good care of the body, of course, the soul that I am, nature, people, the world, whatever. It's really not just improving the best of the self, but it's definitely create a better future or well-being at all levels. I think when I came to know the law of karma, it was a release of my anger. Because I used to be angry for the injustices. You know, a lot of injustices in the world is so corrupt, so dysfunctional. But when I came to know the law of karma, it was like, I can relax because I'm not powerless towards all those injustices. I can do a lot. First of all, I can understand it. I can understand the dynamic. And then I can play the best action I can do so that I can change my karma. And if somebody can change their karma through the example, other people will learn. So even being a good example will be a good karma, because other people will be inspired to create good karma. And therefore, it implies also creating a good account. And karma is actually like a boomerang. It goes and comes back. Action goes, destiny comes back. The cause and the effect. But when the boomerang comes back, let's say somebody offends me, or say or does something not nice to me, I have different choices of response. One, the most common response when the boomerang comes back is to react and increase, therefore, my debts. It's so easy to react. We are so accustomed to react. It doesn't require any effort. Just go with the flow. Some people shout, I will shout back. Easy. And I guess we all have this kind of impulsivity or reactive mood. But what happened to my karma? It will increase my debts because I didn't settle. I offended back, so the debt is still on. And I will become heavier, more worried, more unhappy. The second choice, I act, not react. I act and settle my karma, my debts. I just accept what happened as something that invite me to be responsible. It's an invitation to pay off your karma with wisdom, with understanding. Some people think or believe that if I don't react or respond accordingly, it's a passive attitude. Like, am I going to say nothing? Am I going to do nothing? It sounds like submission or not being strong enough or passive. In fact, it's the opposite. When I act instead of reacting, I need to activate so much inside myself. It's like I need to activate my inner guardian that will prevent and avoid the explosion of whatever, anger, indignation, or whatever. So I'm activating my inner wisdom to access that kind of understanding that is required right then. I activate some virtues like patience, tolerance, listening skill. So it's so active, and that will help me to settle, clean, close my karma. The storm that comes is not the end of me, it's the end of my karmic count. So that's the second choice, which is wise. It requires a bit of awareness though. Meditation and the knowledge of the Brahma Kumaris are so how do we say, can train me so much in this, can give me all the tools to be able to act instead of react and settle. Personally, I'm so grateful to this school for the immense, enormous teachings that I received. But there is a third option, which is to serve and create good karma while I'm settling karma. That means while the storm comes, instead of fighting and going into an upheaval, even though I keep cool, etc., I just use that moment, that event, that opportunity to create a credit. I'm not just replying, I don't reply offending back, but I actually serve the other soul with good wishes, pure feelings, and giving out something with mercy, compassion. And it sounds too much, but it's actually possible. It just requires a deeper understanding of karma. So that I'm actually thankful for the karma to be settled. You know, I'm going to be cleansing this old chapter from my past to be lighter, happier, and definitely better. So I'm actually using what is happening to build a good karma, a karmic credit. There is also another stage, which is the consciousness of being a trustee. So when something happens, usually the reaction or some kind of emotional upheavals occurs because I feel that things are mine and ego is strong. But if I can step into the consciousness of being just an administrator of what I have, it doesn't belong to me. We came naked as souls. We will go back naked. So nothing really belongs to me, but I can use it to build up such a wonderful karma and implement it. So it's a choice. I can keep whatever I have tight, being greedy and probably killing it, or making it stuck, or I can allow the energy to flow and create abundance. So the consciousness of being a trustee is a very high level of consciousness. Usually karma, some people think karma is a punishment, but karma is not a punishment. I can see it in that way, and then I will fear. I will fear of the karma that will come to me at some point. But if I think the karma is a gift that brings back a balance, in order, in a way, harmony. And if I fear that karma, I will try to avoid it. But if I consider it not a punishment, not something that I need to avoid, because it's just something that I'm bound to go through, and it's not either God's will. Some people think, oh, it's God's will. The disaster that happened is God's will. It's not. Human suffering is not God's will. It's not God's anger with mankind. It's man ignorance of the law of karma and the importance of creating good sanskaras. Sanskara, for those who don't know, is a Hindi word that means a personality imprint, my character, my personality, my habits. So karma is actually a gift that restores that balance in my unlimited account, the invisible bank. Karma is an invisible bank, and I need to, restore a good balance and keep the line of my consciousness as clean and clear as possible. And of course, any sanskara, which is a weakness, leads to a mistake. And the mistake becomes the cause of an effect which is unpleasant. There is a karmic debt. So as many weaknesses as I express, that's the karma I will create. Weaknesses are many in each one of us. We could write a long list, but some weaknesses are even more damaging in terms of karma, like selfishness or violence or dishonesty. They are big weaknesses in terms of creating a karmic bond, as much as virtues like respect, integrity, of course, non-violence, love. Love is the rule of life. Oh, just remember a story. It was a bricklayer. He was nearly going to retire at his 60 plus years. But the employer asked him to build the last house. The bricklayer was not very happy. He was tired. He didn't feel like it. He wanted to go, in pension, wanted to retire. But anyway, the employer asked this, and so he said, okay, I will do this last job and then I retire. And he started building the house with a lot of carelessness. He didn't care really. He didn't care any details. He used very, very cheap materials. He wanted to do, quickly and finish quickly. And so he did. And when he went to the employer saying, done, the house is finished, the employer gave him the key, saying, here you are, this is my gift for you. So, if he knew that the house was going to be his own house, he would have probably built it better. That's why an important principle is to love every action you do, because you are building your house, your own house. You are creating your own karma. To love every action that you do, it's a guarantee for a great destiny, a great future. But how do we change habit or sanskara? Because as we realize that weaknesses will lead to karmic debts, so how do we change those weaknesses into virtues, or those shortcomings into some kind of good habits or skills? Because if I keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, it's like I'm not learning, and it's like hurting the same wounds more and more, and it becomes more and more painful. And I lose self-confidence as a result. So how do we change a habit or a sanskara? It might be important, because if I do nothing, nothing will change. So I need to use my mind, my thoughts, my understanding, my knowledge, my meditation moment, my time to change the self in some way. This is an incredible time. It's the time of sowing seeds as much as we can, and the time to give quality time to the self, to see what can I change within me. It's actually so fascinating to watch the self and see, what can I change today? What can I work on today in myself? So the first step is to detect what you don't want anymore in your personality. Like, I'm impatient, or I'm impulsive, or I'm selfish, and I would like to change that, because that will lead me to a very bad karma. Guarantee, because it's a guarantee. Karma never does any mistake. So detect what I would like to change first, of course. Then identify the opposite. Like if I'm selfish, maybe I can practice and understand generosity. So the opposite, positive attitude, energy, virtue, And then I need to study, because as much as I know what intolerance means, because I'm intolerant, let's say, I know intolerance very well. I don't have to churn that, but I have to reflect and study and explore tolerance, because maybe I don't know that very well. So let me give some time with pen and paper. It's very important to do it by writing, because I will be more focused and elaborate. We call it churning. Elaborate those thoughts. You will be so fascinated by what you discover that you already know. Because sometimes we don't know that we know, but we know so much more than what we think we know. And so if I churn, explore, study, then, or visualize it even, I visualize myself already there, already accomplished. Or I can watch for somebody that has that quality. I can interview that person. I can, take it as an example. And then one step which is for me important, when I elaborate something, I sit in meditation and I give it to God, because He's my friend. I like to have God as a friend, because He's so impartial, so profound, so clever, so close, so perfect, that I trust Him 100%. I don't know if I trust people the same, but definitely I trust God 100%, 1000%. And so I just invite God in my reflection and share it. And I invite Him to be part of my project of change. And another step in order to change our own sanskara is to talk about it to other people, honestly, with sincerity. Like, I'm working on this. What do you understand about it? What is your feeling, your thoughts? Just build conversation. Building deep conversation is very nourishing. Otherwise, we might end up talking about nothing. And invest that time in talking about nothing, become talking about waste. It's also a karma. And then keep practicing what you discover within yourself until you unfold all the layer accumulated on the soul, reaching that core, which is the original nature of myself, which is extremely beautiful, extremely great. And that's the reality of every single human being. I saw something in the chat. I must stop here. Okay.
Thank you
So,
so much, Sister Antonella. I have one or two questions that, if it's okay for you to answer. If someone offends you, or you're in a sensitive, a bit volatile situation, and you have some negative emotions coming up, and how do you channel them in a healthier way, and not react and react in an offensive way?
yeah, usually we practice when nothing happens. Because if I have the habit or the sanskara of reacting and taking everything on board and being very sensitive, then I will not be able to do it right then when the turmoil and the storm is on. But knowing that I have that sanskara, I prepare myself like I prepare myself for an examination. We won't go to an examination unprepared, thinking right then I will get a good idea. I will prepare myself in advance. So I sit in meditation, knowing that with that person I've got some problem, with that person there is this kind of issue, and I visualize them. When I'm calm, meditating, maybe I invite God to be part of that, and I will send them wonderful vibration of acceptance. Maybe acceptance is the first step, and then appreciation, then benevolence, then love. But at least I accept we have different ideas, we have different way of expressing things, we are different. And so I build up some positive energy before. Or if I have to meet them in an hour time, I will meditate before going. So prepare the heart in order to cool down and also entertain that kind of thoughts before, because that will create a flow of energy that will lead you to a better interaction or a more possible ability to self-control. Sometimes if we think negatively about somebody and then we go and meet that somebody, having the mind filled with negative thoughts or waste thoughts, that person will feel it, and we already built a big, thick layer of fog. And in that case, it will be difficult not to react because the reaction is already on. So preparation in advance when nothing happens. Every day meditating is a big chance to clean and clean and clean and get ready. And then the reaction might happen anyway, but smaller, smaller, smaller. This kind of change will not happen in one day. But eventually, at some point, you will feel you made it. And the sanskara of reacting is reducing, reducing, reducing. So that's my experience at least. But maybe before going to the other questions, do we want to have some moment of meditation?
Yes, please. That would be really lovely if you could lead us into meditation.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
It would be really lovely if you could lead us into a few minutes of meditation. Thank you, sister.
Would you like me to speak some commentary?
Yes, that's great as well. Yeah.
Okay, I will. So I just visualize myself as energy in the forehead, like an inner room where I go back and sit comfortably behind my eyes. And in the inner room, I just watch myself, my thoughts. So many thoughts are coming and going. Just watch them as an observer. In this room, behind my eyes, feeling relaxed, nothing happened, feeling at peace, that's my choice. That's what I want to experience right now. It's a gift I'm giving to myself to be at peace, relaxed, an observer, leaving behind everything that happened today, just dedicating this moment to myself. And I detect something that happened that I would like to change. I keep being an observer. I just detect it, and I know that I will work on this, maintaining the state of an observer, state of peace, knowing that I'm in charge of my mind if I want. I'm in charge of my heart if I want. It's a choice. This time is very precious. To take time for the self, to change whatever sanskara I want to change, to remember that the soul is an incredible energy of love, joy, and power, and that I can connect with the higher source of love, joy, and power. And every moment becomes a step forward in my growth. A discovering moment of my soul. Let me choose something that I want to work on and start, begin a new chapter. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, sister. That was very beautiful. We have one more question. And it says, when someone has done something to you that has hurt you, but they did not have the intention of hurting you, how does karma work in that situation?
First of all, I need to feel why am I feeling hurt? Because maybe that person was just, just expressing his own, in his own way, but his intentions were good, but my perception was not good because maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe my ego got hurt. Maybe my expectations were not met. So it's good to check what kind of weak point has been touched in myself, because that's the moment I realize something to change in me. So it's good not to blame the other for having hurt me, but to take the responsibility of what weakness is playing out within myself that made me feel hurt. If I can change that weakness, like to being too sensitive, then I become very vulnerable, and everything that happens will touch and prick me like a thorn. But it's my sensitivity, extra sensitivity. So that's my issue. I need to work on that. And maybe whoever has been instrumental to show me that has been giving me a favor. Because if I live with people and I react all the time, they're actually instrument to show me where my weaknesses are. And that's my job. So not to take everything on board like it's all my fault. That's an extreme. Nor to blame people that they are very bad and naughty and nasty and they hurt me all the time. So either those are opposite, extremes, but to honestly check. And also, if I can feel that the other is just an instrument that brought me back in old karma, or is actually doing what he's doing because it's a good lesson for me, then it's the best way to relate to event and whatever happened.
Thank you so much, Sister Antonella. Another question that we have received is how to not be overwhelmed by the idea of karma. For example, like overthink every single of my actions so much so that it affects how I feel. How do you not let karma overwhelm you or the idea of karma overwhelm you?
Like being paranoical.
Yes, like that.
Hmm. Well, maybe at the beginning, when you start studying karma and explore it, to pay attention to the consequences is not so bad, because from being completely unaware of karma and then you discover it, you become extremely attentive. So it's good, but then after some time, you are not going to keep thinking of, in a paranoid way, this is going to be leading to some bad karma, but it will be more natural. Um, but basically, what is important is every virtue will lead me to a good karma. Every weakness or defects will lead me to a bad karma. So that is already included in the story. If I can devolve my thoughts in switching from weakness to virtue, and that's my job. And if I can sit in meditation when I've done a mistake and solve it in my mind, trying to understand as much as possible, dealing with God in involving Him in the situation, then I'm doing my job. I'm doing my part. And as much as I'm busy changing, I won't be busy worrying. Because if I think of karma too much, it's like I'm worried about, what is happening. But if I'm busy changing, then I won't be investing too much the thoughts in worrying. Because if I worry too much, again, it's not the best.
Thank you so much for that lovely answer, Sister Antonella. We don't have any more questions, but if you have any, you can still send them, but we can finish off early. And just want to say thank you so much to everyone for joining us tonight. Before everyone leaves, I just want to mention next week's talk, which is Happiness is Homemade with Ash Patel. And you can find out more information about this talk on the Inner Space Manchester's website. Along with that, we have a very special event coming up on the 2nd of April from 11 a.m. to 12:30 with Sister Shivani. And the title is One Question I Still Have. It's your chance to ask one big question. So you may be interested in going to Inner Space Manchester's website to submit your own question alongside with questions from people all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you so much, Sister Antonella, for that beautiful talk.
Thanks to you. I'm so happy to be with you. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.